going live now. Oh boy.
It's another lunchtime.
Yeah. Yeah, it's lunchtime.
We've I don't know if you can tell, but there's some things are different about we've continued to make some improvements and changes in this case behind the scenes during off period. We changed our cameras to be mounted by the ceiling to reclaim some floor space. Plus, we were having constant problems where the cleaning crew was coming in and accidentally bumping into our stands and fucking up our camera lineups, and it's causing us some problems. And the other thing is the cameras were unusually far away from us with those mounts, so bringing them closer, we do less digital zoom. It's more digital zoom. Microsoft got its fingers in this pie.
Yep.
So bringing them closer should make it look a little bit sharper. We still have some stuff to go. Now, one thing that's crazy is ever since we've been doing this, our bookshelves touch, as you would expect, because in real life, that's kind of we're not side by side. We're across the table from each other. Some reason, wait.
Well, you're flipped
I'm
horizontal
flipped.
here.
That's what it is.
I can fix that.
Well, nah. Like I'm back. Okay, because I thought I did that.
I thought so too.
But that's the thing is, like, I thought that like 3 hours would be all the time I would need to do all these changes, and I guess I needed twice as much time because we were that's why we're so late. We were dicking. Now you just need to touch wieners.
Chicago style.
But it always takes longer than I think it's going to do. I don't know. So I'm just whining and complaining.
Is that any better?
That's all I wanted. That's all I wanted. For us to look like we're looking at each other and for our shelves to be touching.
I think we're good now.
Okay, cool.
I mean, one of us, we definitely, neither of us are backwards.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We're both sort of looking at each other.
That's what I said.
When I look at the screen, I'm looking away from you, but
okay.
That's
the way it happens. When you look at the screen, you do look away from me. All right. Sorry about all that technical crap. Hopefully it looks a little bit better. We got some more dialing in. We need to stabilize the camera platforms a little bit because they're awfully bloop.
Oh, that's gonna happen for the next 20 minutes.
Just a little bloopy. Man, I've been super busy. I just bought a house yesterday. Cecily and I camped in it last night, essentially with an inflatable mattress, and we were up till about 3 o'clock in the morning, sanding, painting, taking cabinets down. Got a lot of work done. Got a lot of more work to do this weekend. As soon as we're done with lunch, you graciously volunteered to help me move. We're gonna move our bedroom stuff in, and then next weekend we got a bunch of friends and family coming to do the big heavy lifting.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm giddy with excitement. Even though I have had less than like 4 hours of sleep for 2 consecutive nights, I just feel like I'm running on like pure nervous excitement energy.
Cool. Yeah, it sounds like an exciting thing.
Yeah, and you know what? The guy, like, I thought so. Have you've not bought a house, right?
No.
So you go to close. Like this is my 4th time, and I've had like a really cordial closing where people are like, "Hey, good luck," and everybody's nice and they tell you about the neighborhood. I've had one just kind of like the people were awkward and there was not really any conversation, but there wasn't any malice. And I had one fucker that he was the seller, I was the buyer, and he was just a giant dick throughout the whole negotiation process, and he was a fucker at the table too. And I thought maybe we were going to go down that route. But it turns out this guy was a real sweetheart. Like when he was super friendly and nice. He told us all about the neighborhood. When we got to our house, he had put a bottle of champagne in a nice card and stuff we need to know. So it was like a real fun kind of house closing deal. But I was sweating that because like, man, ain't nothing worse than like you're exchanging 6 figures with somebody and they're just being a fucking dick about it.
Yeah, that sounds like not a lot of fun.
Like, I understand in negotiation you never get what you want, and that's like, you never get as much as you want, and the other person never gets as good of a deal, but like that's, I don't know. We got a whole bunch of stuff on the forums if we want to talk about anything like that, if we want to go through the user stuff. Do you have anything? Do you want to talk about your like podcast experiment?
Oh, yeah, I did.
Because I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, so I did a show yesterday on Twitch. You were out of the office doing your closing stuff, and I got onto Twitch and I did a show where it's essentially analyzing the trends in podcasting, taking a look at some of the new and noteworthy stuff in iTunes, and listening to the intros of a lot of them and seeing, what works and what doesn't for a particular show, and just essentially talking about, the art of podcasting or the science of podcasting, if you want to even go that way. And it lasted like a couple hours. It's going to be up on YouTube here pretty soon and on the website. But it was all on Twitch, and I think I'm going to continue to do this weekly. But I don't know when. I don't know like what time. I don't know how any of that's going to work. And the show format is not nearly complete yet. Like I ended up going through the new and noteworthy section of iTunes and pretty much just doing that. Whereas I intended to get to like Kickstarter and Patreon, see what the latest stuff on there is, see what's making money on Patreon and Kickstarter. Spoiler alert, it's all those story podcasts.
Really?
Like
they're the slayers?
Like either the ones that are sort of documentaries, like a serial type of thing, or the ones that are informational storytelling podcasts. Like there's one called Lore, I think, that's like that, and there are just a bunch of them,
right?
Just a ton of them, and they all do pretty well. Some of them are like the most popular things on iTunes. But yeah, I want to try and figure out a format that works for that. So like to really understand, the landscape of podcasting better.
How many? My head is swimming because I feel like you're just going to hit me with all kinds of things to improve our podcast, which is both good and annoying.
Yeah.
How many podcasts did you make it through yesterday? Did you like listen to like the first 15 minutes? Were you?
Yeah, like the first few minutes, and then I would.
Were you doing like new? I mean, because I imagine if you're going through like Kickstarter or Patreon, that's going to artificially inflate the quality, because if things are successful in that means it's not going to be probably them making a lot of beginner mistakes. Did you were you like finding some that were like diamonds in the rough, or some of them that are just rough?
Yeah, I mean, I found a lot in new and noteworthy that are just rough. I mean, they're clearly not noteworthy, so they must be new.
Now, so was your criticism like upbeat and positive, or was it more like, oh, what the fuck are these guys doing? Or
well, I mean, it's mixed,
Yeah.
When I see a what the fuck podcast, I say what the fuck.
Uh-huh.
When I see a good podcast, and there's a lot of stuff that like is contextual. So when you're going through the podcast and you see, okay, Lena Dunham has a podcast, and
does she?
It's this NPR style thing about stories from her life, essentially. And she goes and she talks to people and about a subject that interests her, or a subject related to her life, and puts together like this very NPR type thing, which is all scripted on her part. I was actually looking forward to like, oh, what is Lena Dunham's authentic, just off the cuff voice, and you are not getting that.
Yeah.
You're getting her scripted voice.
She has a couple of Bill Simmons interviews where it's certainly not unscripted, and it's actually not. It's like a more self-aware version of Hannah on Girls.
Yeah,
like that's the what makes Hannah over the top, like what the fuck annoying, is the fact that she has no self-awareness of how bad she is.
Which feels like that feels like a natural thing for a 20-something.
And also that's why it's comedy,
Right.
You take someone that's got these crazy experiences, you remove the self-awareness and reflection, and it's either funny or horrifying depending on your point of view.
But speaking to like the contextual thing, if we put 5+ minutes of ads at the front of our podcast, people would probably tune out. Lena Dunham, you're there to hear Lena Dunham.
Right.
So you're either going to skip those things or you're going to sit through them.
Yeah, Bill Simmons getting the same way. Like I listen to podcasts where he is at 3 minutes 45 seconds before the episode began, and it was all just sponsors and ads and stuff.
Yeah, that's what Lena Dunham's podcast was. But like I said, I think that's a huge mistake for us. That'd be a huge mistake for people trying to do what we're doing.
You don't think it's a huge mistake for her to take? Like, wouldn't it be better to take those ads and then split and evenly space them throughout the material? It's more, it's more effective, because there's nobody, unless like last night I was painting and my hands were covered with paint, and if I was listening to a podcast at 5 minutes of ads, I'd be like, fuck it, because I'm not going to touch my phone. Or paraplegics.
Or if you're driving,
Or, but if you're driving, I mean, I got the Bluetooth. I just skip. I mean, it makes it real easy to do that kind of stuff. I'm just saying, like, unless you lack the ability to skip 5 minutes, like that's some shameful shit. To quote Clay Davis.
right.
And
I don't disagree with you,
yeah.
but she's Lena Dunham. Like, she can get away with putting 5 minutes of ads at the beginning of her podcast, and people will still listen to it.
Well, here's
what
the
I'm saying is
thing.
people would shut it off if it were us.
Well, yeah, agreed. But I just like to develop that thing a little bit further. I'm saying if I was an advertiser, let's say I'm Casper Mattresses and I'm the
Right.
third ad in this tirade,
Yeah.
I'd be very unhappy because 90+% of the audience who is willing to put up with this shit are probably skipping the ads. So
When
like,
you
what
lump
am
them
I
all
paying
together.
for?
Sure.
Yeah.
And that's the same problem that I think like Adventure Zone has,
Yeah.
and that Mabim Bam has. When they do ads, they go to what they call the money zone, and they spend 15 minutes there. And I'm like, okay, you're making these ads kind of entertaining. They're almost part of the show, but they're still ads, and I just skip them.
Yeah, and the thing as a lower level podcaster who hasn't really got the money spigot turned on yet, the thing that disappoints me about these big guys doing that is I feel like they're diluting the market. Like if they spent time doing effective ads for podcasting, advertisers would actually see the benefit to it and there would be more money to spread around, but instead they're shoving shit into the money zone and doing marginal products that no one cares about, thus the advertisers don't see the return, thus the meme of podcasting advertising is small time and doesn't pay off continues to perpetuate itself.
I mean, you can say the same of people who just don't do effective ads, like just do a cold read of something, or
But those are not ineffective. Like a 30-second cold read, like a lot of the I don't know. I listen to a lot of political podcasts, like the ones that are the most NPR and professional, probably like the 538 guys, Nate Silver's podcast, and they do like Salon, like if you listen to any of Salon's podcasts, they're all like that, where it's just like it's essentially exactly what they give you to read, and they give it the NPR kind of inflection, and 30 seconds you're done, like that. I don't say it's a great effect, but it's certainly not a detraction. Whereas if you did 15 of those all at one time, that's fucked up. Or if you like, I don't know, Dan Harmon gets, and we do it too. Like we're a little bit irreverent, but it seems like the big trend today is to do like anti-ads.
Well, here's the other problem though: is you get so many ads, where do you stick them all? Because like if you're interrupting the podcast every 10 minutes to throw in 2 minutes of ads,
right?
Then you're Adam Carolla.
Right.
Then you're Bill Simmons or somebody who can't keep the flow of the show going because they have so many ads to do.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, network TV has this figured out. They have so many slots, and once they're full, that's it. Right. That's it. And you get
which also
some
drives
things
up price.
That drives up price. And I feel like that's what's missing in the podcast environment. Nobody's willing to say no, so that some slots, like Adam Carolla and Mark Maron, should be astronomically expensive compared to our ad slots.
Yeah, they're not.
They're not like what we get for ads and what they get for ads are not too dissimilar as far as the CPMs. Now, obviously, they have a lot more of them.
Right.
But that's kind of fucked up because it's not just the CPM; it's also the attractiveness. I don't know. Maybe it is.
Yeah, and that's a huge problem too because podcast ads are typically very long. Like you will have at least 2 minutes on something,
and not entertaining. Like Super Bowl 30-second commercial is going to be something,
right?
Whereas a podcast ad is just like, here are the blah blah benefits of this particular startup, and we homegrown our mattresses from vats of animal protein, and that's why it's so springy and soft.
Yeah,
9 out of 10 astronauts agree.
Some of this stuff will, be taken care of as podcasting matures because TV has had decades to figure this shit out, and the writers know when going in, hey, we're gonna have commercial breaks.
Yeah,
we need to write around those.
Right.
We can't have a commercial just drop in the middle of a scene.
Here's another worry though. As you say that, you think about it. This is all stuff that radio and television went through.
Yeah.
What's the difference between radio and television and podcasting is much more piratical. Like it's you. When you're transmitting television or radio, that automatically means a big corporation is behind it.
Yeah.
So they're going to have things like cost benefit analysis, and they're going to have like, committees debating, and they're going to you're grope towards the truth, but it's going to be making that slow, consistent process. Whereas podcasting, like there is none of that. Those feedback mechanisms are largely absent from some of this stuff. And
Yeah.
what confidence I have that they're going to get their shit together? I mean, it's just as likely they're going to run off all the advertisers and set us back a decade by doing this
Yeah, that could
slipshod
happen.
pirate bullshit radio stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there are also, the big companies like Podcast One and Midroll and like all those guys doing this professionally, like as professionally as it can be done at the moment.
Yeah.
Working toward, those types of standardization things. But, I mean, maybe they're not even working towards standardization. All they're really doing at this point is trying to sell as many ads as possible.
Right. Which
it doesn't seem like they're really analyzing too much what works and what doesn't work, and they're just like, here you go, here's an ad, read it, talk about it, put it in your show somewhere near the middle. And I don't know.
It's something we think about a lot, like how many ads if we sold a bunch of ads, like how many, and we're like, even with our fairly lengthy podcast, like 2 ads seems like it's almost too much. But I don't know. Then you look at Corolla and Simmons, and they've got like routinely 6, 7, 8 advertisements plus a real long preamble in a 60-minute podcast. Like that's getting to be AM radio levels of bullshit.
Yeah, it's too much in my opinion.
Yeah.
I stopped listening
and that's
to
the
Adam
thing,
Carolla
like,
for that.
And Adam Carolla is from like that radio market, and I feel like that the talk radio model doesn't work because the talk radio model is passive. That's something you got in all day long in the background of your work. Yeah. Which I know some people consume podcasts like that, but podcast is a more active experience. It's something that you have to subscribe to. You have the ability to fast forward,
And it's more competitive. I mean, in a lot of ways. Like radio, you have X amount of stations, and those stations are pretty much run all exactly the same way.
And often owned by this exact same company.
Right. I mean, Clear Channel owns 90% of the radio waves. But yeah, so you have like a lot of people doing the exact same thing as you, so it doesn't feel as egregious. Whereas like you take Adam Carolla's show and you put it up against an amateur podcaster or even something like ours, and it's like, well, they are free to break the rules, especially with this idea of like Patreon and club memberships and stuff like that. You don't even need advertising at a certain point. So it's like Adam Carolla can go and do his typical radio thing and have 8 ads that all run in the middle of a show, but we might not even need to do an ad. And how does he compete with that,
Hard.
Yeah.
I mean,
whereas typical radio stuff can't do that. That's how they make their money.
Yeah,
unless
exactly.
you're, I guess, public radio.
Right.
Then you have pledge drives.
But even then, they have to give the MacArthur Foundation and...
It's true. And they have to do pledge drives.
They have to do pledge drives, which are, that was the bane of my existence as an NPR. Like, I was like, I will give you money the first day, and then I got to sit through a week and a half, 2 weeks of these extremely intrusive and long form and very amateur and cringeworthy, to be frank, advertising. And
the
like,
club model.
No way to opt out of that. Oh, yeah.
So much better. And that's the thing that drives me fucking insane about Max Fun is you can donate, you can join the club, and you still hear the fucking ads.
And it's so easy to not do that. Like, if we're doing it, it's easy.
Yes. Yes.
Because we don't like to break a sweat around here. Unless it's mounting cameras from the ceiling. So... I think it's fascinating. I actually am looking forward to when you get it because I didn't have time to do. Obviously, I was busy yesterday, but I would love to see. I'd love to see a show or two of you doing this because I think that's gonna it's gonna make you sharper. You might actually get some gigs out of this.
Yeah, I mean, so that's what I'm trying to do
Especially if you're a little bit more of a nurturing
profile.
mentor and less of a acerbic asshole.
Well, yeah, but that ain't gonna happen.
But then that's not entertaining.
No, I'm definitely trying to, like, I guess, up my profile in the podcasting arena, in the podcasting industry, I guess, a little bit. But I'm kind of modeling it on this guy named Ryan Clark, who does this show called The Clark Tank, where every week he goes in and he analyzes the top 50 or so Steam games on that list, and he goes through and he watches the trailers and he says, okay, he's the guy who made Crypt of the Necrodancer, if you're familiar with that. And he just goes in and he kind of says, okay, what are they doing right? What are they doing wrong with why are they making so much money? What are the popular trends on Steam?
Right.
Oh, it's this, action adventure games are way down and
Yeah.
simulators are way up. He does all that kind of stuff. So I feel like he's
Inside
got,
bait is like an insider perspective.
yeah, and I feel like he's got a good handle on like the gaming landscape, and I want to do the same for podcasting.
You're gonna take it to where people can pay you money to review their podcast. Like if you slip $500 under the table, then
I've never seen an ad in his show. He's on
Really?
Twitch, so you can like
because
subscribe.
all that under table money's rolling in.
Well, that's true.
It's a competitive advantage. You don't have to run ads when you got the under table money.
Yeah,
No one sees it because it's under the table.
but I don't know. It's fun. I'm gonna put that up on YouTube and post it on the website too. So
All right. Anything else we want to talk about before? I saw La La Land last weekend.
did you?
Yeah, because it's so Cecily and I were like we got most of the stuff packed up, or all the stuff we could pack up and still live in our house for a week. And we're like, oh, there's that new theater. There's that theater that's right by our new house. Like it's literally 4 blocks away. It's like we should check it out. And it's like an art house style. And we found out it's owned by the same people that own the Esquire. It's the Marymount Theater, and they also own the Bruin View, which is a fiasco. But the Esquire is awesome, and this is very much like the Esquire. It's got a nice little classy bar. It's actually got a restaurant attached to it, so you can go and like eat a meal before.
Yeah.
It's got wine and beer and spirit bar. The ticket prices are reasonable. The accommodations are all nice. And we went to see La La Land there. And have you heard of this? It's Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone.
I've heard of it. I couldn't tell you what it's about.
Okay, so it was billed as an old school Hollywood musical in the same vein of like Singing in the Rain and what's the one where the guys they're snapping their fingers fighting and
Yep. Yeah, Miracle on 34th Street.
yeah. Yeah, god damn it. No.
West Side
Story. Thank you.
Okay.
Which I like both those movies. Like Singing in the Rain's either top 5 or top 10 movie for me, depending on the day you ask. And I was even listening to what really piqued my curiosity is Adam Savage saying that, oh my God, it's just like Singing in the Rain.
Huh.
So that's what my expectation was. The first 10 and last 15 movie minutes approach kind of that level of color and exuberance and visual and audio interest, but my God, it's so much more dreary and so much less well choreographed, and the music is not as interesting, and like Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone are amazing, but they're not great performers, I don't think.
Yeah.
And also they just I heard that like Mandy Moore did all the choreography, and it's like there's a couple big group numbers, but the stuff where like you look at like Debbie Reynolds and Gene Kelly dancing around, and it's just you just like look at the technical precision of what they're doing, and even if you don't appreciate dance, you're like, holy shit, what they're doing is hard. Mm-hmm. This stuff was like more cutesy and like gimmicky, and there's some special effects rigs that were effectively they start dancing on the clouds and in the stars. That was kind of neat, but I was kind of disappointed. And it wasn't because like the story is overall more melancholy, and I actually felt like it was real. Like, it's kind of like a meditation on timing and like when people are at different points in their careers and whether you give that up for the relationship or. And there's a lot of I think the movie is good. I just wish people hadn't said, oh, it's like Singing in the Rain, because it is not. However, Ryan Gosling plays very technical jazz, crazy fast and crazy proficient, to the extent I thought it was like some kind of CGI joke.
On what?
A piano.
Okay.
Like he plays like these crazy fast and intricate jazz pieces, and it's all like one take. Like they do close up of his hands, but then I'm like they had to do some kind of, because I've never heard of Ryan Gosling considered like a concert level like Harry Connick Jr.
Right.
So. But apparently, not only was that all him, but he picked that up in 6 months.
Wow.
And I'm like, wow. I mean, I don't know. That's not crazy because I've seen like your brother do something like that.
Yeah.
But like, I guess I don't associate Ryan Gosling with some kind of like
especially
genius savant at musicianship kind of thing.
Well, I bet he has no idea what he's doing, or should I say why he's doing it. He probably just memorized what to do on that piano.
I guess that's true. Like if
you have the manual dexterity to do it, you could probably pull it off.
So it's like you just have to play this 30 seconds of this particular song and memorize and get the flourishes and all that stuff.
And it's not an easy thing to do. But I mean, if you could ask him anything about what he's playing, and he would be, I don't know.
Right, or play another song, and he can't.
Yeah.
He can't even play like "Mary Had a Little Lamb."
Right. Right.
I don't know, but I thought that was
Maybe,
one
or
cool.
maybe he turned into a virtuoso overnight, over 6 months.
But I thought that was cool. The movie looks like $1,000,000, and Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone look like famous fucking movie stars.
Sure.
But yeah,
Turns out they are.
I am excited about like that's cool because like previously I had to drive to like the Esquire to see the more arty stuff, which is a bit of a slog. Now I'm like literally 4 blocks away from a.
Yeah.
And they do some of the main like they're
You can
still
tap
playing
dance
Arrival.
there.
I could tap dance all the way there. Have street lights strobing in sequence and whatnot. All right, shall we get to the what the people want? What
Okay.
people want to know.
Yeah.
Forums. Graham started a thread this morning and said, "What are you guys' takes on Nintendo Switch, the presentation, or any of its games?"
So this is one of the things that Ryan Clark did on the Clark Tank
Clark Tank.
the other day, is he went through all the trailers and stuff for it. And I'm frankly excited about the Switch in a way that I haven't been excited about a Nintendo product since the Wii. The Wii was, entirely different. I guess I'm not super excited about necessarily what the Switch does, like the controllers coming off and it being portable and
Right.
all that stuff. But I'm excited about like the open world Zelda. That has a ton of potential. I'm a huge Zelda fan, but I haven't played one since Ocarina of Time back on the N64.
Link to the Past for me.
Jesus.
That's going a little bit further back.
A bit, yeah.
Yeah.
So like I missed. Well, that's not true. Okay, I played Wind Waker,
Oh,
so that was on the GameCube.
right.
I played that one, and I really love Wind Waker. But I think an open world Zelda is a great idea, and it could be really interesting. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited.
It
about
looks fucking beautiful.
the system or
No,
the
no,
game.
the
Okay.
the what is it? Zelda, the
Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
It looks like just beautiful, cell shaded, but highly detailed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just jaw
It's
dropping,
very stylistic, like Nintendo
Yeah.
likes to do, and
Yeah.
that's one of the things I loved about Wind
but
Waker.
sharp and fluid. And
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm super excited about it. I'm definitely going to try and get one as soon as possible.
they're only $300. I
Yeah.
mean, only.
Well, that's not the problem with
Uh-huh.
Nintendo's consoles. It's always actually trying to find one.
Huh? Because the Wii, for the I bought Wii U on the release day, not a problem.
Yeah, Wii U didn't have as much hype. The Wii was impossible to find.
But why do you think? So why do you think the Switch is going to have this? Like, if the Wii U didn't, why do you think the Switch will have more hype?
I mean, it seems to have renewed hype among the
Probably,
gaming
it's got stronger
community.
launch titles, is what it is. Because
Yeah.
Wii U came to town with their Nintendo Land, which is still a crime that they never made DLC for, and like the new Mario game, and that was pretty much fucking it. And a
Yeah.
bunch of rehash, like they had Zombie U, and they had
Right.
Batman Arkham City U, and like a whole bunch of like Modern Warfare and
Yeah, I just like everything I'm hearing from the gaming community says they're more hyped,
yeah.
and I'm also more hyped. So
So story time.
and the pre-orders sold out immediately, as they do.
Cecily moved in with me about the time of the Wii U release, and
Mm-hmm.
we played through all of the Mario. Like, me and her are big Nintendo fans. We did a lot of game. We actually recorded a whole. This was like Twitch wasn't the thing it was today, and I was recording a whole bunch of footage, and I didn't know what I was doing, and it was like there was a whole, like, we had like hours of footage where the audio was all fucked up, and we had hours of footage where the video was stuttery, and
Yeah.
we didn't have our faces in there, but we had like, I think that would have been a thing. With the Switch coming out and with a new lineup of Mario games, I think we're going to do like play them all on Twitch.
Okay.
And to lead up to kind of work out the kinks, I think we're going to drag the Wii U into the studio and play. We want to delete our profile for the Super Mario Brothers Wii, Super Mario Land Wii, and Mario World 3D. And if like we get through all those, and we're going to try to do all the stars, because that's what we don't stop playing until we have all the gold star coins.
Yeah.
We've got all the whatever the collector thing. I can't read like fucking silver oak leaves or whatever the thing that is that you got to collect. We don't stop until we got all that stuff, and we beat all the challenge levels. So we're gonna delete all our profiles and replay those on Twitch throughout February.
Cool.
And then get a Switch and definitely play, because the new Mario one I think looks cool. It's one of 3D but there's a bunch of interesting mechanics, and like, can't you turn into like a tiger or something? Like the last Mario 3D introduced being able to turn into a cat, and you could climb poles and scratch things, and it was like just super cute.
Yeah, this one they start with like Mario in
New
this
York City,
human populated city,
which me and Cecily were both like, I don't know how we feel about this, but then it
it's
got
weird.
Then it, because you just can't,
Then it
like,
got
New
very
York.
Mario.
It's cool and novel, but it's like, the jaw dropping things about Mario is just how crazy the gameplay gets, and you can't get that crazy in New York City because you're not gonna have floating sky frogs that you can jump on, and et cetera, et cetera. But that and Zelda Zelda looks like fucking amazing. I wish they could do a Metroid at that level for this generation.
We'll see what they do with Metroid.
Yeah.
Wish they could do a lot of things.
Yeah.
Wish they could make a decent Star Fox. It's not happening.
So the one came out for Wii U wasn't good.
The Star Fox for Wii U? It looked terrible. It looked like they fucked it up by putting the motion control stuff in it.
Well, that's a damn shame.
Yeah.
All right, you got one?
Sure.
Oh, I will say about the presentation, I thought it was unfortunate that whatever the switch up and the arms, I watched those back to back, and they both featured a minute of actors staring at each other.
Yeah.
And I'm like, come the fuck on. Get to the actual game. And I think the arms kind of looks dumb.
You do? I think the arms looks awesome.
If that's got any kind of deep immersive gameplay. Of course, I said the same thing about Gang Beasts, and we played it for like 7 hours at a blast, so who knows?
Yeah.
Sometimes there is more emergent gameplay than you'd think from something that's that simple.
Let's see. The only thing I really have here that we didn't get to last week is WC and Me says #BaldLunch. If season 1 of Young Pope is really good the rest of the way, would you consider full coverage for a possible season 2? That's not what I'm really in the Young Pope for.
Right.
Like, an analytical take on this show would be no fun for me.
Yeah.
I want the show to be bonkers. I want it to be ridiculous, and I want to laugh and have a good time.
Yeah, I mean, if it backs into something worth taking seriously to that level, I mean, I'm never going to rule something out, but I kind of with Jim, like, it's always dependent on the schedule and all that kind of stuff. And also, I'm trying. I think we're also doing some of these shows as an experiment with not. How am I trying to say this? It's not that either one of us are dissatisfied with the full recap podcast, but increasingly we hear grumblings from people saying that I wish, your podcasts are long and what we're listening to is for the critical analysis and the interesting discussion, and the recap kind of gets in the way of that sometimes. And we're trying to figure out a way to tighten up stuff. And I don't know that, like, I'd like to get out of I'd like for people to stop thinking in terms of, unless it's a full podcast, like the not full, quote unquote full podcast are a lesser product.
Right.
Because The Leftovers is not a quote unquote full podcast, but I think it's some of the best stuff we've ever done.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So,
True
like
Detective
we had a nice 40-minute discussion about the pilot of The Young Pope. What more do you actually want?
Right.
Like,
do you want us to talk scene by scene?
Yeah.
That, to me, just drags you into the minutia of it, and you don't talk as much about the more important and interesting things.
Now, I do know that, like my prejudice against not doing scene by scene is, number one, it's like I do feel like when you go scene by scene, like I don't forget to talk about stuff. And also, it's also for more humor-oriented podcasts, you mine every bit of like, like, oh my God, look at that shit. Look at that guy's eyebrows. It's crazy.
Right.
But, we've been having these off-season discussions about like how much of that is really like, is that the stuff that you remember years after, or do you remember the like crazy stuff about like Bran getting force-fed broth and getting his arms and legs lopped off? And that was just stuff that just none of us like scripted it out from watching the show. It just came about naturally. And that's the stuff that's still going to happen in the Half-Ass podcast. So
yeah,
I'm not, this is just stuff we're kind of playing with because fact of the matter is, if we did the same thing all the time for 10 plus years, it'd probably get stale. You have to be open to change.
Yeah, we're going on year 7 of this.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people are aware of this. It's not year 7 of TV podcasting, but
No.
Bald Move has been around since March 2010.
Right.
7 years is a long time.
Right.
Of doing podcasts. And, I still thoroughly enjoy my job 99% of the time. But, you don't want it to get, you don't want to get too stuck in, I guess, the routine.
Right.
The other argument, I guess, for keeping the recap, a couple of arguments, is it helps the back catalog when people are just kind of going through and listening without actually watching the episodes. Like
That's the other
if they
point I was
were
going to make.
to go Game of Thrones and say, well, I don't want to watch all these again, but I'd kind of like to hear what they have to say.
I like hearing these guys, and it's entertaining. So
Yeah.
having the recap grounds you, because if you've seen an episode, when we start talking about it with the recap, you'll get it. But if we just start talking about the main themes and what does it mean this and that without maybe people get lost. And I don't.
Yeah.
So there's and it's not so much about my personal enjoyment, because I enjoy all the stuff that we do. It's more of like, how can we better invest our time and how can we better engage and do a better podcast.
Right.
Like, we never want to make a worse podcast just for expediency's sake or whatever.
And some people write in and say, I don't even watch the show like concurrently, but I listen to your podcast while it's on. It's like, you don't watch the show, but you listen to the podcast. That doesn't make any sense to me. But
I used to do that with Television with Pity, though. Like, I stopped watching Lost and American Idol, but I kept reading their recaps because I knew enough about the show that it was still funny to me. And I had a pretty personal relationship with the people because it was always the same author. Like, if someone had American Idol, they were doing American Idol through its entire run until like sometimes they'd quit or when they'd bring someone else. But you'd have a time to kind of get someone's sense of humor and their writing style, and it's all the stuff people say they like about us. It's it's a relationship, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that is
stuff.
I was just fact checking because I thought sure that we started in 2011, but you're right, 7 fucking years in March, man.
Yeah, man. It's been a while.
Wow.
A fucking while. I started this when I was 27.
Yeah, I was also 27. I was 33.
Wait, 28?
Were you?
I must have been 28.
I can't keep track of how old. Aren't you 34 or are you 35 now?
I'm going to be 35 at the end of this month.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
So I must have been 28 when we started. I was in Chicago.
Glue from California said, not watching the inauguration today, but I really hope that someone hacked into the sound system and played the Imperial March when Trump walked in. That'd be a pretty non-violent way to make a political statement, I guess. Plus, to a certain extent, even Trump supporters would have to admire that, right?
Takes a certain amount of ingenuity.
Right. Now, I think that anyone that would hack the sound system wouldn't do anything that clever and subtle, honestly. It would probably be...
Anonymous gets in the mix and... That doesn't happen.
It'd be a whole bunch of we do not forgive, we do not forget, expect us, blah,
Anonymous
blah, blah.
popped their head back up.
They did. They did. They say they're working on it. Like, you know what? What that means is someone on the internet said they're doing something.
Right.
Now,
that's the nature of Anonymous.
Whether this turns out to be a chinology or whether this turns out to be their takedown of ISIS on Twitter, which I guess that's not been entirely ineffective. But whatever. We'll see. That doesn't mean anything. The very nature of Anonymous means that their name means nothing. Yeah. So what are you gonna do? Jasminewa from DC. Man, ground zero today. What do you guys do for your self-care? I hate that that's a phrase that's gotten ridiculous and it's used in the past.
Self-care? What the fuck
few
does
years.
that mean?
You know what self-care means?
I have no idea what self-care means.
Taking care of yourself, getting sleep, getting exercise, soothing yourself,
self-care?
decompressing.
It's literally the first time I've ever heard that.
Like clipping your toenails is self-care. Like the lack of self-care indicates.
What do we do? Yes. The answer is yes. I do all those things.
I cut my toenails.
I don't exercise nearly as much as I should. In the winter especially, but in the summer I hike and stuff.
Yeah.
In the winter, not so much.
I don't do as much self-care as I probably should. But on the other hand, the things that I do, like I genuinely enjoy spending time with my family. When my son's around, it's all about doing stuff with him. And, we've been our tradition now is like when he comes over on Wednesday night is we try to 2-man the Nightfall. Which is, it's just the in-game, like weekly in-game content for Destiny, or we'll put together Lego kits, or but I'm pretty much all about him when he's over, and then when it's just me and Cecily, we watch television or play video games, and we go out and do whatever. But I don't.
What does this have to do with self-care?
That's what I'm saying. Like I don't do a lot of like meditation or calm, relaxing baths, or that's not. you know, that's the traditional concept of self, or like get away and read a long book, or
Like mental self-care?
no, I mean, it's self-care means whatever it means. It means like what do you do to take care of yourself? I don't know why. Like it's kind of a ridiculous term. I agree with Jazz here, but
Okay.
like it's not that hard to understand.
But you seem to be focused on the mental side. Is there a physical side to it?
Yeah, you can like getting
Like clipping
massage.
your toenails isn't like mental.
Yeah, taking baths.
Maybe for some people.
Eating right, or eating like eating raw cookie dough could be self-care if you've had a bad day. It's kind of like, you know, what do you do to get yourself to your happy place and keep yourself there?
Oh. What is it? I think of. Who is she? Is she a teacher?
Who?
Is she?
Jazz? I don't know anything about her.
I think of like
Could
Lemonade.
be a man.
And Dancing Dwarves. What is the Billy Matt or what is the Happy Gilmore?
Yeah,
Place.
he's got a dwarf riding a
Unicycle or something, or tricycle,
or maybe it's like a hobby horse, you know, like on this horse on a stick.
Oh yeah, he's jumping around.
His grandma's
right.
winning a jackpot in a lottery.
Yep,
and
he's got
his girlfriend's
lemonade.
got a beer pitcher in each hand, and
right.
then Shooter McGavin comes and sticks his tongue down her throat. And,
right. That's my happy place.
Yeah.
It's essentially just Billy Madison's. Happy
whoever
Gilmore's.
Jazz's
Jesus.
their profile picture on the forums is Donna from Community saying treat yourself.
Okay.
So yeah, so maybe shopping self-care. I like to make things, and that's one of the things I've been excited because I've been researching all this cool furniture that I'm going to build. I'm going to build my son this loft bed. I'm going to build Cecily and I a little rolling pantry that goes between the fridge and the wall, and I'm going to build like, you know, a big workbench and stuff down in the garage, and now I got like I have a lot of pent up because I've been cooped up in this fucking apartment for like 4 years.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna have a garage and my toolbox and my woodworking tools and space to put it all. Like I'm like really excited about getting back to making shit again.
Right.
And you're getting into that too. How's
Yeah.
the making stuff going?
I actually just went to sign up at that place last night.
So you've done 2 classes?
I'm a member. No, I've done 1 class. I did the 3D printing class. I've signed up. Now I need to do the basic safety class. And I'm ready to 3D print. But I looked at my model last night and I realized it's somehow
Total shit.
Well, it's shit. Yes.
It's actually the poop emoji, so it's just literal.
Yeah. No, it's this thing that's going to hold my coffee filter or my coffee siphon. I don't know what you call it. Like the conical thing that you put the coffee filter into, that then you put the coffee grounds and it drips through.
Okay.
I don't know the name of that. Like
That is
coffee
that.
dripper.
Yeah.
I'm because once you
percolator.
do that, you have to kind of let the coffee grounds drip out.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes a while. And you know, if you set it on the counter, it would just kind of fuck up your counter. So I want to make a thing. I designed a thing that it kind of sits in with this grate, and you put a paper towel under it so it catches everything, and you know it should work out.
Coming soon to Kickstarter.
Coming soon to Kickstarter. I'm gonna need $40 to get the materials.
Then what's the Craig Gator or whatever is gonna watch your video and tell you whether it's good or not. Was it Clark? Clark-O-Matic?
Ryan Clark, the Clark tank.
The Clark tank. He's gonna Clark tank your shit.
Yeah, he probably
Tell you
would.
how bad it is.
But I realized that I made it way too big somehow.
Huh.
I don't know. Like when I was doing the SketchUp model, I just fucked it up.
Accidentally
It's
transformed
way too big. It's bigger than the print area of the 3D printer they have. So it's not going to print. It's way too big for the coffee filter. So I don't know what I was thinking, but I need to scale that down and then print it.
Interesting.
But I have no idea how to scale it down. SketchUp is a shitty program. I'll just say that.
It is.
It's easy, but it's shitty.
Yeah. Like it's really quick to do stuff, but like going back and fine tuning revisions and stuff is kind of rough.
Yeah, I learned in like 3D Studio Max when I was in school, and that's way more powerful, easier to do things once you know how to use it. But the learning curve,
it's brutal.
is ridiculous.
Right. Yeah, I've only used SketchUp for like designing three-dimensional foam airplanes, and that sounds more impressive when I say three-dimensional. Literally, the way we did these foamies is you take the top view of the airplane and like the side view of the airplane,
Mhm.
and then you cut those out so it's literally like a cross.
Yeah.
You know, and it works great because that's and it looks good. Like from 30 foot away, it looks the business. But
Right.
that's ideal for Google SketchUp
Uh-huh.
because that's just two planes. You put them together, you adjust it, you cut. Yeah, you don't have any like because I've seen guys like design some crazy shit when I was doing these loft plans. I had these guys do that all in SketchUp, and like it's like I'm like, oh my god, it must have taken you twice as long to build the fucking thing just to sketch this up.
Huh.
Should we continue going?
Yeah.
Texas Sandman said, "What is proper etiquette when washing someone else's clothes? Do you check pockets first or just dump and wash? My wife's grandma watches her daughter at the house while we are at work during the day, and she ends up cleaning things and washing clothes. She did a load of my wife's pants, and there ended up being some lipstick in one of the pockets, so some pants are possibly
Oh.
ruined, and grandma passively aggressively mentioned that my wife should check her pockets better. Is the burden on my wife or her grandma to check the pockets?"
Can I say both? I feel like both.
Yeah, it's like if you knew that grandma was going to check you're going to wash your clothes, like if you have a cleaning person, a maid or maider, would be the masculine term of maid? Is it still maid?
I think it's probably still
Yeah,
made.
maid. Like nurse. That's like a gender neutral term. I feel like it's on you to make sure the pockets are empty. Okay. Now they should probably check, but also, do you want your maid going through your pockets and seeing your personal stuff? Like that's ultimately you got. But like if grandma just got bored and started fucking doing laundry unbidden, then kind of on her. And also she needs to know that like if she finds a fucking a marijuana pipe or condoms or something that she might not personally, or that's the risk she's taking. So
Because there are no grandmas who who approve of condoms
right,
or marijuana. For
maybe
that
your
matter.
grandpa's Willie Nelson. He's over. And
There you go.
He's gonna plant something on you. But I'm, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have the relationship with my mother or father that I'd be like, yeah, come on over, go rifle through my shit and do my laundry and clean and all that kind of stuff. Like, I'm bad at giving advice, but I'd say I'm with Jim. It's a little bit of both, and to the extent that this is something you're expecting someone to do, I think it's more on you to check, and the extent that they're just something they're surprising you with, because I don't check my fucking pockets because I do most of my own laundry.
Right.
So if when I'm putting it in, I feel something clunking around, or I actually know that I need to kind of feel my pockets. But
I do too.
yeah, so that's what I think. I don't know if that wins you a fight or loses a fight, but it's what's my honest opinion.
I think here's what you do.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, you try to get grandma to pay for the fucking clothes she ruined. If that doesn't work, you start rummaging around in her pockets. Which, like her purse.
Come over and do
until you find enough change to make up for it.
Come over and
Alternatively, if she doesn't, let's say she doesn't carry a purse or
send herself.
You don't have access. Right. Start sticking tubes of lipstick into her pockets randomly throughout the day. So that the next time she does laundry, if she doesn't check her own pockets, then you can blame her, because clearly you just don't check pockets when you do laundry, lady.
Yeah.
And all of her clothes are ruined too.
What you do is you get a tube of lipstick and you use like a spot of like I don't know what do they call that stuff that's like it's sticky but it's like gum, like it's like you apply mustaches with it like to your face. Spirit gum. You stick that to the side of the washer like underneath the lip, so the next time she uses it it'll dump in there and then she'll always say, God damn it, I thought I checked. Teach her a lesson.
Yeah, you got to teach Granny a lesson. She'll never learn if you don't.
Yeah, she's only got a few years left on this planet to learn lessons. You got to teach her extra hard, Sandman. How is she going to learn? Like, it's old dog, new tricks. Yeah. Come on. You got to be firm, but fair. You look like you're digging. You got
I'm digging. I'm coming up with blank, though.
All right, this is all. By the way, if you're listening to this and you don't know what we're doing, we're actually going through a thread. There's always a thread on Friday morning. Usually the users create it on forums. It's on the VIP section, forums.baldmove.com. Obviously got to be a club member, which obviously you are if you're listening to this podcast. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm Maddie94. What are you guys hoping for in House of Cards Season 5 and its final season, which, by the way, just released. Just released. Did you know all of House of Cards is out now?
All of House of Cards is out?
Yeah. No, I thought I'd get more of a rise with you than that, but it's coming up May 30th.
I was stupefied for a
We
second.
were gearing up for February. It's another fucking summer
May
show.
30th?
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Yeah. Nope. That's
Bullshit.
That's exactly what I said when I saw Maddie talking his shit in the forums, and I fact checked it, and it's May 30th. Everybody's a buzz about it.
Oh my god. May 30th? Fuck me.
Plus, it's such a Frank Underwood move to steal Trump's thunder by talking about his thing on the inauguration day.
Yeah.
Such a Frank Underwood move.
Well,
yeah. So that's
had to
like the
write that
seventh
down.
thing that we got to cover in the middle of summer now.
Jesus Christ. Something's got to give. I mean, a lot of things are going to have to give, probably.
My spleen.
Yeah.
It's going to be
My
the first
sanity.
to give.
My sanity's barely hanging on as is.
iMaddie continues. I can't use Twitter for some reasons. I'm posted on forums. I don't know what's going on Twitter. And
Can't use Twitter? Hashtag bald lunch.
well, but I mean, I think he might be saying I never get my stuff read because you struggle with the Twitter interface. I don't know.
No, not true.
Oh, no?
Yeah,
I thought
I've read Matt's stuff.
Oh, have you? Okay.
Matt,
well,
does
then
he
he's having a personal
Do
Twitter
people in
problem.
Europe want to be called Matt or Matthew? I feel like
He
Matthew.
wants to be called iMaddie94.
Okay.
So, he loves our Dark Knight podcast. He wants to know, what does DC need to do now with the cinematic universe, as there isn't many problems with their TV CW universe. I can't speak to the CW universe, but I honestly don't know how they unfuck. Honestly,
They sell out to Marvel.
they need to stop doing what they're doing and come back 2 years from now with an actual plan. But I don't even know that that's possible, because then you've rebooted Batman and Superman twice in a 5-year period.
Uh-huh.
So, like, I kind of think they're fucked. They're never going to be able to get, like, they can start making decent movies, decent standalone movies. I mean, you could cancel the Justice League. That's probably the quickest way to stop the bleeding. Cancel Justice League, even though it's shot and whatever. Just cancel it. Fire Zack Snyder. Get some really good directorial talent to come in and do, like, you already got Wonder Woman in the can. Do your Aquaman, do your Flash, do your Cyborg. By the way, 3 guys that are not going to get a movie before Justice League comes out. What the fuck?
I feel like get a revolutionary vision
and get
for...
Batman and Superman back on their feet to where they're actually getting a bit, because a Batman movie should get $1 billion worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
It should get out of the bed in the morning and get $1 billion. And if you're not doing that, then you're fucking up. So get your Batman and Superman going, get 1 or 2 of those in your belt, get the rest of the Justice League going, then 3-4 years from now do Justice League. DC's not going to do that, so I think they're fucked. I think DC and Warner are fucked.
They need to sell their company to Marvel and just have Marvel make all their movies.
I don't think that's unprecedented, because I think something like that has happened, where, like, Marvel bought a minority share in DC when it was struggling, or vice versa.
Oh, I think you're right.
I think
Yeah. That sounds familiar.
That was, like, I think it happened before I was actually following it, in any kind of adult capacity, so I could be wrong, but I think I remember something about that. I know, because there's a lot of weird, because, like, Captain Marvel is a DC property, even though he was created in Marvel and called Captain Marvel.
Weird.
And there's a couple other things like that too, that were like vestigial remains of that. But I could have that all wrong. I'm not purporting to be a comic book expert. But no, I do think that, like, I kind of think DC and Warner are fucked. That they will be capable of making a surprisingly entertaining one shot with, like, their characters, but I think the Justice League is just, it's not going to work, man. It's not going to work. It's going to work as well as the Avengers would have worked if they made it right after Iron Man 1, which is to say probably not well at all.
Yeah.
Let's see. Texas Sandman wanted to know if we all watched the inauguration. If so, what are your thoughts? Nope, I have no idea. I heard that right before we got online, I saw a headline scroll through my Google News that said that apparently Trump swore on 2 Bibles. Which I don't, I didn't pay it to, like, maybe that's something all presidents do, but
is that just a joke?
No, that was like, I guess he swore on the Abraham Lincoln Bible that Obama also swore on, and then a personal family Bible. So a stack of 2 Bibles. That seems very Trumpy, but I also don't, I don't traditionally pay a lot of attention to inaugurations. Like, I remember the first Barack one was particularly big in its spectacle.
Mm-hmm.
And he also did the, like, was that his first or second one where he actually walked the route? because I remember that being something. But I honestly don't really pay a lot of it. I like politics, but this shit is not politics. This is pomp and circumstance.
Yeah, I wanted a speech more like Young Pope episode 2. That's what I
Right,
wanted.
right. From Shadows.
Yeah.
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 Who shines the laser on Trump?
Stop it.
You're not worthy of me. Yeah, yeah. I just don't care that much. I'm more interested. I don't know. Like I'm not. There's nothing I can say is going to make anybody happy. I think that I took a pretty reasonable and measured result in the immediate days after election. I was told by several people that I was a fucking raving liberal. Nothing since then has sweetened my opinion of our now president. Most of the things he said about being more presidential and unifying and trying to get people on his side I don't think has even been attempted. So what am I supposed to say? He won. We're going to see what 4 years of Trump look like and 4 years of Republican control, or at least 2, probably 4, and we'll see whether the country's better off at the end of 4 years. And that's all I have to say about it.
All right.
Unless he starts fucking rounding people up and putting in camps, and then they'll find out that it's not just conservatives have guns. But is that an extreme enough take for them to make at least somebody happy?
Probably.
That's all the stuff we got on forums. Any parting thoughts?
No.
You ready to pack mule it up?
Sure. Yeah. We did about 55 minutes here, so.
All right. We're getting very close to being back in the general swing of things. We have all of our deliberations recorded for the Baldies. We just did the user choice yesterday. It's not like I think you can still vote, but it's not going to matter because we already got the results. We will be recording the official Baldies next week and start spooling that release out. We got Wrath of Khan commission podcast that's real good coming out next week.
It's in the can.
Yep. Special thanks, Spanks. Special Spanks.
Spanks.
Special Spanks to Anubis 21 for that. Old Josh Wilson. And we'll have a bunch of. We were actually going into like a golden age of commissions here pretty soon, and we got a bunch of first run Bald movies coming out, and then Walking Dead comes back in February. Also Young Pope every Monday.
Right.
We're gonna have a Young Pope discussion, the Pope podcast.
Yeah, I'm having fun with it.
Yep, and we will see you guys later. Have a great weekend.
See ya.
Bye.